Welcome to Unpolished Dialogues, a podcast where raw and real conversations take center stage. Join us as we dive into thought-provoking discussions on a wide range of topics. No filters, no scripts, just honest and candid conversations. So sit back, relax, and get ready for an unpolished ride. Here we go. I'm your host, Elizabeth Arras, and my co-host is...
Yours truly, Kevin Watson.
The one, the only.
You sound good, Elizabeth. I like that intro.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? I'm feeling a bit rusty today.
You'll be doing the intro from now on.
Ooh, that's a big responsibility. Let's see if I can handle that.
Yeah, it sounded good. What up?
Not much. I was just watching some new fresh episodes of Love is Blind. Remember how we said we did an episode on Love is Blind season 3, and I think one of the last questions you had was, do you think there will be a fourth season? And here it is. Last week it came out, and it's irky.
Yeah, but you know what? They know that they have a lot of people hooked on this show.
Oh, yes.
Which is why you'll probably see more seasons to come.
I think so.
Right?
And apparently...
and it's getting more dramatic. I think it's attracting more and more people who are just all about appearance. They just want to grow their social media following. They want to gain popularity, so it's not about love. Of course, Love is Blind, but not for them, right?
No, exactly.
I should say love can be blind, but not for this show.
Yeah, this season is something else. And I also saw that there's going to be a Love is Blind Sweden. So I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so
that should be interesting.
Yeah.
Love is Blind Sweden. Those Europeans, I think, are even more liberated.
Yes.
Than
I'm already feeling like embarrassed before it's even started. So we'll see. Yeah. But I mean, that's not why we haven't recorded for the past 2 weeks. We're still alive, but it's been just a busy period of time. I hope people will be listening in to part 2 here of our conversation. But before we get started, so one of our listeners, shout out to my friend Sabrina. I don't know why I pronounced your name like that. I apologize, Sabrina. She sends us 2 questions. The first one being, Elizabeth, would you date anyone who is 15 centimeters, that's like 5.9 inches, shorter than you? And would Kevin date anyone 15 centimeters, so 5.9 inches taller than him? So I'll go first, and this is going to seem shallow, but my answer is no. I'm 166. That's 5'5". If you're shorter than me, then you're short.
Oh boy, I tell you, a lot of women they want this ideal, tall, dark, and handsome kind of guy. But what if the shorter guy has more to offer? What if
I wouldn't know? I wouldn't know.
So you're basing it off his height, his physical appearance, and not wanting to explore more of who he is on the inside. It's not his fault why he's short.
Well,
it
isn't I just feel fault. Like that's something that would always be a turnoff for me, and I don't think that's fair to anyone.
Why though? Why would it be a turn off? What about a man being shorter than you? That's a turn off for you.
Well, it's just that it's not okay. Let me put it this way: it's that I'm attracted to men that are tall. One, and secondly, like, I'm not that tall. So if you're shorter than me, then you're short.
But you do know that someone being a little shorter than you does not take away from his capabilities and his ability to make you happy.
I did not say that. Right? I did not say that. But what I said
hold on. As a matter of fact, I have
heard. Look at what you did, Sabrina.
Right? I have heard that short men are usually more endowed than taller men. That is what I've heard. That's the word in the street.
well, I mean, let's put a pin on that. So what about you? Okay. Yeah. What about you? Would you date anyone who's 15 centimeters taller than you? So that's about 5.9 inches. Yeah,
let me just put it out there. I'm 5'10". I'm 5'10". Mm-hmm. So someone who is 5 inches taller than me would end up being what?
Almost
6'3". Oh, 5.9 inches. Right. So if it's 5.9, that's almost 6 inches above. So it's, but
yeah.
So let's say round it off to like, it means that this woman would be 6 feet 4 inches tall. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Would you?
That's tall.
Okay. I see. I see. That's too tall.
My preference. All right, let me be honest. My preference would be to have someone who is shorter than I am. However, I believe that I am open to getting to know someone.
Wow,
if she's beautiful and she has a nice personality and she's ambitious and she's sweet and honest and has integrity and intelligent, and did I say intelligent before, and respectful? I don't know. I'd maybe open to getting to know her better. I don't think that I would outright say no because you are taller, so tall.
You know what I smell?
Would there be some kind of awkwardness there? Probably.
Yeah. You know what I smell?
Probably,
Kevin? I smell bullshit. I smell bullshit.
No, honestly though. I do have my preference. Would I prefer to have somebody shorter than me in my life? Of course, as that special person, yes. But I am not going to outright say that I wouldn't date somebody who is taller than I am if they
forgive my honesty.
A great personality. But I'm being honest too. No, it's okay. It's okay to be honest. We're talking about our preferences. And I said I do prefer a shorter woman, a woman who's shorter than I am. Yeah. But all I'm saying is that I would be okay with giving her a chance.
Well. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to the second. Let's just move on to the second question. So Sabrina also sent us a question here, asking us, would you date anyone who's bisexual? So both of us. She's asking us if either of us would be open to dating anyone who is bisexual. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I don't know that one. I don't know. I think it would be easier for me to accept and date a woman who is bisexual than for you to date and accept a man who is that way. I don't know. I think it has to do with societal norms and how we view things. But anyway, that's not the question. I know I'm.
Does this have anything to do with the fact that men tend to be turned on by lesbian sex, or what? Is that what you're saying here?
And we don't. I don't want to sound like I'm a freak. I'm not. I'm not a freak.
Well, I can say point blank.
I grew up in a conservative Christian home, and I wouldn't want my mom to be listening to this podcast and hear me.
Hi, Mom.
But the answer is
yes.
Although I grew up in a conservative home, I am not conservative in that if somebody is bi, as long as the person understands what my boundaries are, As long as the person understand that if we're in a relationship, it's a monogamous relationship. It's not open. Yeah. So even if you swing both ways, the fact that if you're with me, you're with me, right?
Yeah.
If this person is somebody that I admire and has a good heart, who is respectful and have the qualities that I'm looking for in somebody, yeah, of course, I'm open to dating someone like that. But as I said before, the person must understand that I am not into polygamy. So it doesn't mean that because I'm dating you and you're bisexual, it means that you can have, relationship with a woman while you're with me, right? Yeah. It's one or the other.
Well,
however,
for me,
my preference, let me point this out. It doesn't mean that because I'm willing to date a woman who is bi means that I have any tendencies or any preferences towards men.
Kevin, nobody asked that.
I respect that. No, but some people will be like, "Oh, well, if you're willing to do that, what else are you willing to do?" And the fact is that I'm 100%, into women and nothing else, but or no one else or no other sex but women, and not just any woman, a woman who was born a woman, not a woman who transitioned. So I just want to put that out there. I just want to make it
all clear. Just make it all clear to everyone.
Clear the ear. Sorry. And this is not about being transphobic or anything. It's just my preference.
It's your preference. Yeah.
Kudos to people, or more power to those people who live their truth and live their life and the way they want to live it and identify themselves the way they want to identify themselves. But I'm saying my preference is straight and purely biologically born woman. Right? With all the physiological features of a woman. That is what turns me on. That is what tickles my fancy. That is what.
So if anybody misunderstood anything, I think Kevin has made things very clear at this point.
Yes.
I think he's made it very clear at this point. Okay. I'm more simple than that. My response is no. I would not date anyone who's bisexual because I personally would not be comfortable with that. And I think it has to do with like my own insecurities more than anything else. I just wouldn't be comfortable knowing that my man would be attracted to several human beings out there, as opposed to like a smaller group of people out there. And I think I would like constantly sit there and be like, oh, is this your type? Is this your type? And I just don't think psychologically I would be able to handle that. So yeah, I don't know if it has any reflection because I grew up in a conservative household or not, but that's how I roll.
No, I understand, and it's your preference, and I mean we should be free to choose to be with and date whoever we feel comfortable dating.
A tall.
Yeah, you don't like short men. That's your preference. I don't have anything against that. I wouldn't say that you are discriminating or anything. It's just your preference. Some people like apples. They don't like oranges. Some people like oranges. They don't like grapes. It's what it is.
Obviously, I like bananas. Okay. Let's wrap that up. Okay.
Talking about that. Yes.
Yes. So our last episode ran a bit longer than usual for anyone who listens. Yet we feel like there's still so much we want to discuss within the topic of what men versus women want. I certainly didn't allow Kevin to ask a lot of questions because I got caught up in learning more about how men think and what they discuss in the barbershop. So this is part 2 of his and hers decoding the desires of men and women. So if you haven't yet listened to part 1, then you should pause here and play episode 7 first. So, Kevin, I will let you go first, and I will do my very best not to take over the role of an interviewer.
No, I, you know what? I didn't think that you were doing that. I thought that you ask really good questions and questions that also for you to respond to. I think it's a dialogue, right? And so, one of the questions that I actually asked just before we closed that show is, how do you think cultural and societal expectations shape what men and women want in a partner? And do you think that these expectations have changed over time?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Your background is Middle Eastern. And I think we are all aware of how it is with the in the Middle East with women and the role that women play in that society. You're from a Christian background, right? So you're thinking perhaps is a little bit different from like the typical Middle Eastern who is from a Muslim background. Yeah, I should give you an opportunity to respond. Sorry.
Well, ahead. I mean, so it is. So it's funny because in the Eastern world, I'm actually considered to be very liberal. While in the Western world, I might come across as conservative because of my views on gender roles. I mean, I will fight for my right to speak and to be heard, but I also enjoy the idea of a traditional household. Okay. Like I want to have a job I enjoy doing, but I don't really desire to be the main breadwinner because I want to have time for cooking and caring for children. I don't want to rely on a man, but I also wouldn't mind knowing that I don't have to take care of the heavy duty chores, right? Because teamwork makes the dream work. So for me, it's so people talk about the modern woman like there's only one way of having it all. And I think that westernized women are quick to criticize those who cater to their men. Like it's an automatic sign of oppression or anything. And I don't agree with that. Like I said, like I've said this in the past too, I enjoy doing kitchen chores. So why wouldn't I want to feed and clean up after a man if he scratches my back in other ways, right? And I don't see anything wrong with wanting to depend on your significant other to do the things you don't enjoy doing yourself. That doesn't mean that you're a weak woman or that your relationship is unequal, not to me at least. So
but the question is though, Elizabeth.
Yeah. I haven't gone into it.
You're going to respond to it.
No,
but let me give you an opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to give you the opportunity.
So your question is, you go ahead and say your question again, and we'll.
You have expressed a few things here, and so I want to ask you based on what you have expressed. Right? Do you believe that the society that you grew up in, the home that you grew up in, influence you in the way you look at things, the way you perceive things?
Absolutely, yeah.
And how has it done that? And moving even to Canada, has that somehow changed your perception and your opinions on certain things as it relates to men and women? Because the question is, the question I originally asked was, how do cultural and societal expectations shape what men and women want in a partner? And do you think that these expectations have changed over time? Right?
So, yes. So in my case, like you said, and like I also went into detail into, I'm a special case because I grew up in a society that is very liberal. I think we mentioned it earlier when we were laughing about Love is Blind Sweden. However, I grew up in a household with a mother and a father, and the idea of women having a certain role in the household and men as well. So I grew up with 3 brothers, and I can see that the experience has shaped us in different ways. As in, men who are with westernized women suddenly have other expectations of that woman, as opposed to them being with a woman from the same culture as them, which might in some context be viewed as conservative. So the expectations differ depending on who your partner is. I think that a lot of non-white men change their expectations if they are with white women, and vice versa, because you have to adapt. However, if you end up with somebody with a similar background as yours, then probably not, because you will have seen what value that kind of relationship, like a traditional relationship, can have. And I'm not saying that all of them are great. Some women are oppressed in those kinds of relationships, and they aren't allowed to be everything they're capable of being. But a lot of women, and this might surprise a lot of people, but a lot of women that are in traditional relationships are very happy.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Yes, that's true.
So,
and I've always said that. I've always said that to each their own. Mm-hmm. I do not believe that anyone should try to disrupt a relationship that has harmony when 2 people have the same perspective on life. So if I think that I need to live up to the traditional roles of a man, right? And you feel like, all right, you need to live up to the traditional roles of a woman, and the relationship works great between us. We have that, we have that agreement, right? And we have very similar expectations. I think that could make for a perfect relationship. The problem comes in when one person, I mean, obviously don't have the same view as the other.
No, and I understand that, but that's what I mean. That's where you need to be very clear about what your expectations are. I think a lot of people are naive in some ways, where it's like, oh, but those things don't matter. Well, it's your values, it's your core values, and what makes you feel comfortable in your own household, right? Because you might be like, oh, but my mother and my father did it differently, right? And things seem to have worked with them. And I'm not saying that a traditional relationship is always amazing, because again, like I said, I still want to do certain things. I want to be capable of doing certain things. I don't want to be home all day. So it depends on what each person wants and what freedom they have. Because I don't believe in anybody depriving anyone of anything. I don't believe in violence in the household. So unless a person is being harmed, if they're happy in their relationship and with the dynamic, then I don't think anybody should interfere with that. And I think this is a lesson to be learned, because I think I'm guilty of this too. Women will offer their opinions whether or not you ask for it. But if you're happy, then don't share your business with others, because you might get influenced without realizing.
Yeah.
And if it's not broken, then it doesn't need fixing. So don't bring it out into the world, right? Because a lot of people will have opinions about how you do certain things. But like I said, like, I'm very comfortable with, like, and I've had this discussion with friends too. It's like, but you shouldn't be doing everything for your man. It's like, but there are certain things I actually enjoy doing.
No, exactly. And I don't believe that anyone should get involved in another person's relationship. And of course, if your friend is unhappy and your friend is experiencing abuse or is being treated badly in the relationship, of course you should encourage your friend to to get help, to get out of the situation.
That's a completely different situation. Yeah.
That's a completely different situation. But when you have two people who understand each other and they enjoy doing different things for each other, you enjoy being a traditional woman and he enjoy being a traditional man, then that's a perfect relationship.
Yeah.
And for those couples that are more so-called liberated in their thinking and they believe that, let's do this equally, 50-50.
50-50.
And it works for them, then perfect. And if we can accept different people for their different perspective and views and how they live, it's a perfect world. Just like we want to accept, different people who identify as different things. And of course, I encourage that we accept, people wanting to live their life a particular way.
Yeah,
even if it does not adhere to what we call the norms of society. Yeah. Right? Because obviously we are evolving every day. Things are changing every day, especially in the Western world, right? As we evolve, expectations are going to change. Norms are going to change. So this will, which is why I would agree that the expectations of men and women are greatly influenced by culture and society, because the Western world, as it evolves, as we move into this woke period, people start to think differently. They start to think differently about the dynamics of a relationship and the roles of men and women. And now we're seeing that there is the line is getting very bleak or very, what is that word I'm looking for? Obscured or not very clear anymore, as it relates to gender roles. We're not really embracing diversity anymore. We're saying, okay, let's do away with gender. Let men and women do all the same things, when obviously we're different. We're not embracing each other's diversity, contributing to our society or to the home based on our strengths. Everybody wants to do everything. Which to me can be a problem at the end of the day. There's something that you've always said that I agree with 100%. I've heard you said, we should work or focus on our strengths, right? Things that we're good at. Let us contribute to the relationship in that way. Embrace each other for our differences.
Yeah,
as men and women.
Yeah, 50-50 looks different in different constellations of relationships.
Yes.
For me, it doesn't have to be that literal. Like, we're both contributing to the household in different ways. You don't have to do the same things. I have no desire of doing the same things. I mean, sure, maybe I don't want to cook 1% of the time, and that's fine. But if I want to do it 99% of the time, then I don't mind. Right? It's just, I just think that people need to mind their own business. So, and my advice to women in particular, I don't know if you have any advice to men in that sense, but my advice to women is, if you're in a serious relationship with a man and you're not being harmed in any way, then don't share every intimate detail with your girlfriends.
I agree with you. And I think it's important for us to recognize, by understanding each other, by understanding there's nothing wrong with us having roles in a relationship. I think we can work towards building a more equitable relationship. It's not only about equality, but, equitability. And I think when people talk about equality, they forget that not everything that is equal is necessarily mean that it's going to benefit the person that is fighting for that equality.
Exactly.
I mean, it should be equitable. So equality should be balanced with equitability.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So, for men and women, I think we tend to get carried away with this notion that we must be doing the same thing. We must be on the same level in terms of, our capabilities. There are things that women are going to be better at, and women should be appreciated for that. And there are things that men are going to be better at, and men should be appreciated for that. Right?
I mean, with the exception of there are women that are horrible cooks and there are men that are wonderful cooks. So this does not apply to everyone, but just putting it out there.
Yeah, and it's about recognizing, as you said, it's about recognizing our strengths, right?
Yes.
My mother never really looked at herself as a good cook. She did not like the kitchen.
There you go.
But my stepdad loved the kitchen, and he was a good cook.
Yeah.
So when I was
enjoyed it?
When I was growing up, he did most of the cooking.
But did he enjoy it?
Yes, of course, certainly. Yeah. He loved the kitchen, and he was always cooking, like most of our meals. I looked forward to my stepdad cooking for us. Because he was really good. And I'm not saying that my mom was a horrible cook. She just did not like it. She just did not. She didn't mind cleaning the house, doing laundry, and all the other things that, a traditional woman would do, right? Yeah. She actually liked doing those things, but she just did not like cooking.
Exactly.
and it was never a problem. I think that's one of the things she has always appreciated about my stepdad. Right? We're talking about 40 odd years of marriage. Oh crap! I gave away my age. I just gave away my age. But yes.
But they complete each other.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. That's the thing. That's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
But yeah, let's try to move on from this topic or question. Do you want to fire up the next one?
Are there any differences in what men and women want in long-term versus short-term relationship, and how do these differences impact dating and relationship?
I think there's both sides of the coin. That's something I've definitely learned since I moved to Toronto, and that kind of goes along with something you asked previously. If my moving to Canada has changed my views on certain things. I wouldn't say that I've changed my own views on these things, but what I'm seeing is that women are not always looking for something long-term. A lot of women are not always looking for something long-term, and that's fine for them. They might be chasing something else, like a career or something else. But going back to your question, I think something that's astonishing to me with Toronto men is that a lot of Toronto men can, and this is something that's well known on social media as well, that a lot of men here will lie about their intentions, about what they actually want, whether that be long term or short term. I think a lot of Toronto men say that they want something more serious than they actually do, because I feel my impression is that a lot of people in the city are just like changing from one to the other, that's not really their priority to settle down, at least not in their I would say until after 35 maybe, which is new to me because again, I grew up in even though I grew up in a society that's very liberal, I feel like a lot of people settle down, even if they get divorced. A lot of people settle down around their 20s in Sweden. So that's definitely new to me. What is your take on it?
My take is that I think that there are differences in what men and women want in long-term versus short-term relationship. I think that men are generally more interested in short-term relationships than women.
Up until what age, though?
So that's a different thing, because age does impact how men think too, right? But generally speaking, you know, being a man and having experiences with conversations that I've had with my colleagues and friends who are men, I think that men tend to be more interested in short-term relationship, especially when they're younger. They want to explore. They want to, you know, have fun. It's all about the physical attraction and sexual compatibility and that kind of thing. While I think women more prioritize like emotional connection, and that's just my perspective. You can tell me if I'm wrong.
But don't you feel like that is changing, though? Don't you feel that a lot more women are also into like
hookups,
short-term
like
hookups?
Hookup culture?
Yes.
That's true, and that is how society starts shaping, you know, what men and women want, because know that we have this kind of liberated way of thinking, and women are feeling liberated all over the world right now, not only in the Western world.
Yeah.
And I guess you can say that more men probably are thinking about settling down earlier than previously, right? But I still think that men have more of a hookup kind of a culture among themselves than women. Like men
I still think
casual sex and hookups than women, right?
Yeah, I still think generally speaking, there's definitely more men that are into that than women. But I do think that the statistics are changing.
I think that men are more likely to have like multiple short-term relationship. While women are a lot more cautious, and they will think more deeply about the connection that they're pursuing than men. Like, remember now we said that women more pursue emotional connection and also the social status of a long-term relationship, right? A woman want to go out and talk about her man with her friends. Right? Men hardly ever do that. Men, I can tell you, I can count the number of times that I would be among a group of men who talk about their spouses. Men hardly ever do that, but women tend to do that all the time.
Yep. No, I'm telling you, that's definitely true.
Yeah. So
let me ask you this. Do men really enjoy chasing women? I think that's a question a lot of women have.
Yes.
They do like the chase?
I think a lot of men like the chase, and especially traditional men. I mean, a man like myself, no. Listen, I don't want to be dealing with that. It's either you're interested or you're not. I'm not about the chase at all, right?
Yeah.
I'm not about the games, but I can say without a doubt, a lot of men, if not majority of men, like the chase. It's like it's in their very nature, right, to be drawn by the chase. Right? The harder you play, it's like they're hunters by nature. Right? If you come too easy, they'll get turned off. They'll be like, let me move on to the next target. Right? And some women do understand this. That is why I think like some women they enjoy the chase too. They'll play along. Yeah, they'll play the hard to get because they know. And I think it's a very smart way to keep a man on the line, you know. So while the man might be there thinking that he's
playing the game.
Fishing. Yeah, she's the one actually with the fishing line, right?
Yeah,
she's playing with him.
That's true.
Yeah, so
a lot of women are getting to you.
Yeah. But yeah, that I can definitely confirm that a lot of men like the chase.
So how do you make sure that the chase isn't just a chase? Like, does the chase ever stop? Is the intention that you chase for a while and then like you're hooked? Is that that how the it's supposed to go?
Certainly, because what you want is for the man to see you more than just a piece of meat. You want him to see you beyond your looks and your physical appearance and you know, what he thinks he'll experience with you physically. You want him to see the inner you, the beauty that you are on the inside. And sometimes men tend to be blinded by the physical and it's up to the woman to you know, remove that blindfold. Right. Yeah. And by doing that, by creating this chase, you know, you can actually engage him, communicate with him. And, you know, because men are emotional too. Don't get me wrong. It's just that, you know, because we're such physical creatures, what we see is what we're attracted to. A lot of times we don't take the time out to get to know this person. And that is what will cause a woman to stand out amongst other women, because that woman will ensure that this man takes the time to get to know her and show him that, listen, I am just more than a piece of meat. I am all that you desire and need in your life, emotionally, right? Mentally, physically. I can be everything you need, and you have to be able to show a man that. But if you are so quick to get physical with a man, you're not giving him that opportunity to get to know that side of you.
Yeah, I just, you know what? It's not so much the jumping the gun as it is the playing the games that I don't appreciate. You know, like I don't have time for that. It's either you like my personality or you don't. And I don't have the energy to play a role that predicts what he might be into, or like, am I giving him enough to chase? It's just like, I don't understand how people have that energy, but I don't. I don't like those games. So it's very interesting. It's definitely very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's just about having sex early. I don't think it's just about that.
I agree with you. You know, we've said earlier on this program, well, not in this particular episode, but we've said that these opinions or these views are not going to be the same right across the board. Yes. There are always those men who are different. Like myself, I don't like the chasing business. No. You know, for me, I am about getting to know somebody. I don't only look at the physical appearance. Yeah. For me, I know that, you know, a woman is much more than what she looks like on the outside. So I will take the time out to know a woman. Yeah. But a lot of men, they're about the physical, right? Yeah. Which is why, you know, they like the chase. Too, right? Because they like the challenge. Yeah. Right? It I guess, gets their blood going, the adrenaline, the euphoria that they experience when they finally, get that prey,
Oh gosh.
yeah, makes it worthwhile for them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
While for me, the euphoria is really at the point when I find that perfect woman who I connect with, not only physically, but emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of men think that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We obviously know that men and women communicate in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when it comes to communication, studies have shown that women tend to communicate more openly and expressively
Mm-hmm.
than men,
Mm-hmm.
while men tend to communicate more assertively and direct. And this can certainly lead to misunderstanding in the relationship and work situations. What do you think about this, though? Do you think that there is any validity to this research finding?
Well, so I mean, there's just so many different types of men out there. But for me, something I value in a relationship would be safety. And safety can also mean communication. Because I've been saying this a few times. What works for a certain couple doesn't work for another couple, because if you're not understanding what your partner wants, it could lead to a lot of issues. If you're not able to communicate with your partner, you're not going to see eye to eye about what you want. So if I don't understand what my man wants because he's not communicating that well, that makes me feel unsafe.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean, though, that if a man is more direct and assertive in his communication methods, it doesn't mean that it's bad communication, though. Well, for example, I think women will be more open and expressive.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they will go on and on about something. Men are more to the point and direct. Right? It's
but with fewer words many times, right?
Yes.
And that might make some people more uncomfortable because it's not enough. It's not enough information for me. Like if we're saying we have plans and I want to be, and I'm like, okay, you made the plans. Who's going to be there? What time are people expecting us to be there? What kind of food is it? Like, how do we dress? I want to know these things because they make me feel comfortable. And you can't respond to these because you and your guy friends made plans without thinking about the details.
No, I don't think, I don't think that the man won't be able to respond to it. I think he will not overthink it. Women tend to overthink sometimes. I'm sorry, I may be generalizing here, so sorry about that. But I'm just saying that, traditionally or typically, men, are usually a lot more direct, and it doesn't mean that they're poor communicators. It's just that they believe that they can get across, how they feel by being more direct. Because let's face the fact, women tend to sometimes, prolong things and I don't want to use the word exaggerate. But they're just more expressive. If that makes sense. And I want to tread lightly here, or because I don't want to say anything that would offend anybody. I know this is unpolished dialogue, but I still want to be mindful of the fact that not all women are the same, right?
No.
But let's move on to something here. Physical health.
Yes.
When it comes to physical health, men tend to focus more on fitness and strength, while women tend to focus more on diet and overall wellness. However, both men and women can benefit from a well-rounded approach. So, of course, we're saying that this is not the same right across the board, but studies have shown that, more men focus on strength, fitness and strength, while women focus on diet and overall wellness. Do you agree with this?
I actually think that that's changing, to be honest. I feel like a lot of men have gone on the intermittent fasting diet as of lately. Not necessarily so because it doesn't. I mean, it's still like the whole idea is to build more muscle mass on the long haul. But I do also think that a lot more women are into being physically stronger, not to the point where they become
muscular
fitness models. No,
is it fitness models?
Okay. I'm not saying that all women want to become fitness models, but a lot more women, I think,
are into fitness.
These days
so
than
you're
they
saying
used
that
to
it's
be.
changing.
I think that's definitely changing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't agree with that statement. Not looking at.
Well, are you totally disagreeing? Because I think you can partially agree, because they don't have to contradict each other. The fact is that, of course, more women are moving away from that notion that it's all about, diet and wellness, and more into fitness and strength like men are, but it doesn't mean that women don't still think that way. I think what they're saying is that majority of men think about more fitness and strength, and let's be honest here. A lot of women tend to be more attracted to a man who looks strong and sturdy, right? And fit. Like if you put me, with a man who goes to the gym and has muscles and his chest is really, carved out and everything, I'm sure, majority of women would overlook me, and they're like, no, we don't want this little weak boy. We want a strong man.
I mean, yes, a lot of women are into muscles. I'm personally not. Like, for me, it's more important that they have strong shoulders, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, if a guy has tits, I don't want you.
Yeah, they don't want a one pack. They want a six pack,
A lot of women want a six pack. But for some women, it's less important. I don't know, like guys that have tits, dude. Like, just not into it. Into it.
Yeah, I get that. Mental health. This is something that I've always known. When it comes to mental health, both men and women can struggle with issues such as stress, anxiety, and depression. However, studies have shown that men are less likely to seek help for mental health issues than women, which can lead to negative consequences. And we've seen this. Statistics has shown that more men commit suicide than women because they don't like to seek mental health. I think a lot of men see it as a kind of weakness.
Yeah. I think there's definitely some truth to that. And I think it's such a shame. I think that in a relationship, I think both partners have the responsibility to say to each other, you know what? Like, you need to talk about this, whether it be with me or with a professional. I do think that that's something that needs to be encouraged, because I do think that a lot of women will view that as a weakness. And I think that's such a shame. Like, we're all human. Everybody needs assistance sometimes to cope with all their emotions. If anything, men don't have the same type of mental support from their peers, because it's taboo for men to talk about these issues with each other. So I do think it's such a shame, just generally speaking, that's the case. And I would like to see that shifting as well, because it's just, I don't know, like, is the intention that you're going to be isolated with your thoughts for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
It's like men and colonoscopies. Dude, you need to check your butt and you need to check your brains.
I get it. All right, time is going. So here are some quick things here. Studies have shown that men tend to be more attracted to women who wear red clothing. So,
Ooh.
giving you some good information here, Elizabeth.
well, I don't look good in red, so
Yeah,
it's so funny.
So find that nice red dress with some heels, and yeah.
You know what?
It.
I don't know if this is custom in other countries, but apparently in Sweden, I haven't been to a lot of Swedish weddings. Okay, remember I'm Middle Eastern, so I've mainly been to Middle Eastern weddings. I've been to a lot of them, but I've been to a few Swedish weddings, and apparently you're not supposed to be wearing red because that's an indication that you fucked the groom.
Oh my God. Weird. See, that is why, these things are all about culture and norms and the society that you live in. A woman in a beautiful red dress is usually very attractive or looks very stunning. It's not, it's almost the colors. It's like the colors just pull you in, right? And so men tend to be more attracted to women who wear red clothing, while women tend to be more attracted to men who display social dominance and confidence. I think. I think there's some truth to that. On point there. Women tend to be more interested in socializing and building relationships than men, which can manifest in areas such as community involvement and volunteering. Now, remember, we are saying that there are always exceptions to the rules, but yes, I think you'll find more women having friends and socializing than men. Women tend to have a more developed sense of taste and smell. No, this I agree with 100%. I have experienced it myself. Yes, I noticed without even seeing the results of this research. I have always noticed that women's sense of taste and smell seem to be far more than men's taste and smell.
This is the thing, though. So for me, I've heard that. So I used to be a blind bitch. Okay, I used to be before I had laser surgery on my eyes. I had very poor sight, and I was told that if one of your senses is weakened, then your other senses are heightened. And I always had a really good sense of smell and taste. So I was like, okay, makes sense. And I just assumed that was the case. So what you're telling me that I'm not unique?
Yeah, no, I'm telling you that my experience is that usually women have just this strong sense of taste and smell. Like, I've been with so many women, to include my own family members, who will be like, "You smell that?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Smell what?" They're like, "Oh, it smells like a tint of rose," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah,
what are you smelling like? Or they'll be like, I'm smelling perfume here. This is not.
This is not mine. This is not yours.
I'm like, what? And I'm like, no. I'm like,
you know what?
Oh, I know why. Yeah, I hugged a friend today, and probably.
You know what? I remember this so vividly. Like my brothers were eating candy in a different room, and I was outside of the room, and I could smell it, and I was like, "Where's the candy?"
Yeah. No, I believe you. So, yes. So they said that women are better at wine tasting and perfume creation. And I do believe that. All right. So men and women tend to have different preferences when it comes to risk taking. Men tend to enjoy more physical and financial risk, while women tend to prefer more social and emotional risk.
Unless I'm spending your money, I'm not going to spend mine.
Yeah. All right, guys, listen up. The time has been far spent. You see, this topic is such a huge topic because there are a lot more things that we could have touched on, but what we'll do is leave our audience to kind of send in questions, and we can probably address some of these things in the first part of our next episode, right? Or future episodes, right? Mm-hmm. But just a quick little thing here before we wrap up. A group of researchers conducted a study to explore the difference between men and women's desires in a romantic partner. They surveyed a large group of men and women and asked them to rank various qualities in order of importance. When the results came back, the researchers were surprised to see that both men and women ranked a sense of humor as one of the most important qualities in a partner. However, when they looked more closely at the data, they found that men tended to prefer women who laughed at their jokes, while women tended to prefer men who made them laugh. So one of the researchers joked, "It looks like men are just looking for an audience while women want a stand-up comedian."
Well, right? Touche, because I'm the stand-up comedian.
Anyway, guys, that's it for this episode of Unpolished Dialogues. Thank you for joining us and listening to us ramble and give our little opinions.
Follow us on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss any episodes. We'd also love to connect with you through Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. So until next time.
Yeah, man. Peace out.